Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back here with a fourth and final part of Black Mondays, the very, as I call it. As ever, I would love to know what you think, and I can't really think of much else to say in the intro, which probably is for the best. But yeah, I was trying to think of things that begin with M for Mondays because of my alliterations as I do. But I hope members of the Black community all around the world will check out these videos and let me know what you think. But as ever, everyone's really welcome, and people to add their 2 cents, as I say, your thoughts on this sort of thing, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or are unsure, or have your own ideas or thoughts, or whatever you want to comment. As ever, I welcome all posts and freedom of speech and all that. But I hope people will be polite to me and especially to each other. And anyway, so here goes ideas number 31 to 40. So here goes. So number 31, I hope that by the end of this month, especially the end of this week, well, I suppose it's only pretty much a week left already, believe it or not, it's nearly November already, I together with whoever might want to get on board and support me, hopefully would have empowered as many members of the Black community, Black diaspora in Britain, across Africa, across Australasia, and all over the world as much as possible, and help them to connect and network together and share ideas. So those Black people who are more successful, who have risen up the career ladder, can mentor, teach, and train the rest of their community to do as well as possible. So from one minority to another, I hope that I would have helped and contributed to that sort of thing, and come up with ideas like the Black Empowerment Plan and things like that. Number 32, once again, I would love to support as many Black people as possible to get into fields like modeling, the movie industry, the music industry, and maybe collaborate on those sorts of things, and all sorts of different industries. And maybe like Black artists and musical artists can network with artists and people who draw pictures, and also those from the movie industry, so they can sort of collaborate and work together on projects. So include a movie with, or movies even, with Black producers, directors, actors, actresses, and even like art featured in those movies could be made by Black people. And also the music involved, like the lyrics or whatever, I'm trying to think of the word, the theme tune, that's I think what I'm looking for. So in these movies, theme tunes could be made by Black people. On the subject of made by Black people, I think it'd be interesting to see what Black people have contributed to the world, and have a list of that sort of thing, and motivational Black people and stuff like that, a list of those sorts of people, and also what they could contribute when fully empowered. Moving on, number 33, I would love, as I mentioned before, and I'm sort of recapping on some of the points I've already raised. In hindsight, maybe I could have asked these sorts of things as questions, like how do you think we could get more models, Black people to become more models, without really forcing anyone to do so in a libertarian way. So without forcing the industry, the modeling industry, how could they be encouraged to support them? How can people be encouraged to support Black-owned movies, music? People like Spike Lee, Steve McQueen, and others like that, who, funny enough, I think both those two have dyslexia as well, funny enough, on the topic which I was talking about before with dyslexia, which is, as I often mention, it is also Dyslexia Awareness Month. How could people from those communities be supported? Like how could they be supported? And one of the ways I was thinking of is like tax exemptions, as well as funding from political parties, funding from councils, and also from National Lottery Fund here in the UK. I don't know if America has the same sort of thing, where it's like the lotteries used for good causes, so money they raise, they sometimes raise money for good causes and things like that. So I'm just checking. I'm on Facebook now, but I'm just trying to check that YouTube is recording as well. But yeah, I was thinking like tax exemptions, like sort of tax incentives for empowering the Black community. I'd love to know what people think about that. Again, I don't really want to force any companies to have like quotas, or to have to support the Black community. I want it to be done by people who want to do so. even if it is for selfish reasons like saving more money on the tax, you could argue is selfish, although it is money they have earned, and they might want to do so. They might want to save money and help other people. So it could be that they make more money and help others at the same time. So it's a win-win situation. Some might even be selfish, but might think we can raise money on our save money on taxes and have financial incentives. So there might be different reasons. Some more selfish, some less selfish, some sort of bit of both as to why they might want to support the black community. Number 34, as I say, I want to do so in a libertarian way. I don't want to force anyone. I don't want to have quotas or anything like that. But tax exemptions, I think that is a free sort of way to do it because you are keeping money that you've earned. And for doing good, you get an incentive. And it's a sort of way of reparating without using force, perhaps. I think so anyway. But I wouldn't force any of these ideas onto society or onto anyone. I'm just sharing ideas that I have and hoping people can implement them. As I say, I hope both my YouTube and Facebook versions record properly, but I hope people will check out both, just in case one doesn't record properly, for instance. And I welcome any support for my YouTube channel as well. I often try and plug that, so hence the wink, or me trying to wink. I'm just like a robot sometimes. Anyway, moving on. Number 35. Again, hopefully by the end of this month, we'll come up with ideas together and we'll look at ways where we can talk about, say, how to get more black people into modelling, movie industry, the music industry, how they can mentor each other, train each other, how different companies and communities could help, especially in October at least, maybe at least once, at least for 1 month, I was going to say once a month, but at least for 1 month, 1 or 2 months a year, maybe 3 months a year, people could support the black community, at least one, let's say. I think that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, moving on, number 36. Again, I know I mentioned this point before, but I'd love to see how they can improve relations with the black community. I talked about my migrational ideas. I hope I explain them in full detail. How Italy could have partnerships or deals, and also Celtic FC, which I hope to come to. I've jumped ahead of myself there. But number 36 and number 37, I'll say. Italian football and Celtic improving. Well, Celtic already does a lot of work against racism, and I hope they'll be rewarded for it, as I mentioned before. And I'm recapping some of the points I made in parts 1, 2, and 3. But I'd love to know, I suppose I'll try and phrase it as a question, how do you think Italian football, Celtic FC, and possibly other sports teams like the MLS or others, or even the EPL, the English Premier League, always a bit of a dilemma, although that's a bit of a dilemma for me as a fan of Italian football and Celtic. How do you think sports teams, music companies, and whatnot could fundraise for the black community and support them and things like that? And do you think, once again, do you think that the migrational ideas I have for Italy are a bit naive? I know Celtic, as I say, already does a lot to help migrants, refugees, and that kind of thing as a club and as a fan base even. But I'd love to see that with Italian football and see how they could benefit. So, for instance, getting funding from the EU and from migrant and refugee agencies, UN Refugee Agency, the EU Migrant and Refugee Agencies, or whatever they're called, and international bodies, European bodies, and also they can work with African countries and those who work in Africa to sort of make a fair deal about how many people can migrate to Italy, and they could help to build football pitches and play football, and hopefully some of those migrants from Africa and Asia and elsewhere perhaps could become, well, that's a bit off topic from the Black History Month, but especially from Africa, including Africa, so it's kind of on topic, can become the next Maradona or Pele, or I suppose that would be more fitting, but can become the next great players. Italy could have its own version of Zidane, Pele, Ronaldinho, and players like that. Again, I'd love to know what you think about that. I'm just trying to think if I know I cover the ideas in quite a lot of detail, but I'm going to move on anyway. But if anyone has any questions on those sorts of things or any thoughts you have on Italy's migrational thing, and whether you think there is a way where Italians could improve relations through football, again, if they think their nation could become like France more recently and Brazil more historically, like what they've done through having more migration, miscegenation, or however you pronounce it, mixing of people, different cultures and colours and backgrounds. So Brazil is said to be very racially mixed. a lot of mixed race people, and France, I suppose it's not quite as mixed, but it is kind of mixed in terms of it doesn't have so many mixed race people, but it does have more. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe players like Thierry Henry, Trezeguet, and former players like that, or even current ones like Mbappe, who's part Algerian. But also just generally even having great players from Africa. It will be an unfair bias in favour of Italian football, but I'm not always as fair as I like to be. Anyway, moving on, number 38. I know I covered number 36 and 37 together. Number 38, as I jumped ahead of myself, I'd love to ask the black community, who are the most inspirational and motivational black people to you? I'd love to talk on Friday about Faces of Africa, famous Africans, famous black people, and that kind of thing. I think I meant to say so for dyslexia, but I didn't quite remember to do so. Like famous dyslexics and faces of dyslexia and that kind of thing, or I didn't quite get around to doing so for whatever reason. I was having technical issues, I think that's why. But as I say, for the black community, I'd love to know who inspires you the most, including those who are both black and dyslexic. I'd love to know who is both black and dyslexic, who maybe inspires you the most, but also just generally who inspires you and that kind of thing. Number 39, as I say, I'd love to know what you think about like blacklisted, taking a negative term perhaps, because normally blacklisted means you're banned from certain things, to sort of be a directory of black-owned businesses, which could be both on and offline. There could be a website, there could be things on Facebook and things like that, which help to promote black-owned businesses and the black market, bringing black businesses to market, helping them to promote themselves, having directories and that kind of thing, but also looking at ways they could be taught, mentored and trained to bring their products to market. So black people who have already done well in business could help them to market and bring their goods to market, which makes it a little bit different to blacklisted, because blacklisted would be more like just a directory, whereas the black market could be how they bring their goods, as say, to market and they're helped to sell those goods. And number 40, again, I'd love to know any ideas or thoughts you have on the tax ideas. I think I wish the Windrush generation would be exempt from taxes and also get state funding and also get funding from councils and funding from the National Lottery and all sorts of ways which could reparate them for what they went through during the Windrush scandal. I can't remember exactly when that was. I know it was only a few years ago then, but I think it was about 5 years ago. So anyone can please enlighten me if you know when that exactly was. I know I can Google it, but a bit lazy, but maybe I will later. Anyway, I'm going to stop baffling and I'm out. Peace and love.